This is To Help You Heal, and I'm your host, Marie Monville. We are going to spend 10 minutes talking about healing. What kind of healing do you need? Is it in your mindset? Is it emotional healing? Is it spiritual healing? You know, there's a lot of healing that we all need, and this is where you're going to find it every week, 10 minutes on Tuesday. I'm so glad you're spending this time with me. Welcome back to this week's episode of To Help You Heal. And this week, I want to talk about how we approach our life when we feel like nothing's working. Because maybe you've been with me these past couple weeks of the new year and you've heard me talk about creating a life you love, letting go of things that just need to go, the clutter we talked about last week. And maybe you feel this place of frustration because you're thinking to yourself, you know what? There is all this stuff going on in my life right now that I'm not in control of. And if it was as simple as letting it go, I would, but I can't. And I'm just stuck in this place of feeling frustrated in the middle of things that I don't want, that I have no direct control over. Because I know that there are times in our lives where we do experience that. I've experienced that. And I think if someone would have told me in those moments, hey, figure out the things you need to let go of, figure out what you want more of, you can create a life that you love, I would have felt a little bit annoyed with them. And I would have thought, yeah, go ahead, you step into all this stuff and figure out how to do that. But I will tell you that because of walking through seasons like that and having to own those moments where I've felt that annoyance, it's pushed me into a place of saying, okay, well, are they right? Can I really figure this out? And really for me it was that place of saying, God, is this right? Can I figure out how to love my life? You know, in those seasons that I've had where I felt like I've been walking out things that I had no direct control over, that I couldn't just get rid of, and that somehow I needed to figure out how to love my life in the midst of that. It wasn't just that there was this person telling me to do that, it was that I felt God asking me to do that. I felt him pressing on my heart that there was a way for me to love my life, and it really became this place where I untangled myself and my view of myself, my view of what it means to enjoy life. I untangled that from the circumstances, and I want to encourage you in that place too, because I think you're probably going to have to untangle yourself from your circumstances. And the best way that I know to do that is really by letting go of those things that we don't have control over, because those things are going to exist in all of our lives. And if we are simply saying, okay, well, I'll love my life when all this stuff works out, we're going to waste all this time of just not enjoying life and feeling the overwhelming stress and pressure of all the things that aren't going right. There has to be a way to live above that. That's what I was feeling for myself. I felt like the Lord was challenging me to find a way to rise above those things. And so I want to help you find a way to rise above those things. And it comes from figuring out what you do have direct control over. Because let's face it, those things that you can't directly control, you're not going to be able to base whether you love your life on them. Because again, you have no direct control. And we talked about this the other week, that when we are making goals or when we're saying that we want to change things, when it's something that we don't have control over, it's so much harder because it doesn't rely on us. You know, I even talked about weight loss. You can do all the things right. It doesn't mean that your body's going to cooperate. But if it's about relationships with other people, there's only so much of that that's on you, and the rest of it is on them. So if we're trying to create a system that relies on an outcome that rests on somebody else, it's going to be hard to feel like we love it because we can't control it. So let's step back and say, okay, if in the middle of this stuff that you don't like, that you have no control over, that you have to continue walking out, if you want to figure out how to love some element of your life, I want to ask you, when was the last time that you felt happy? When was the last time that you felt joy? That place of enjoying something. What was that thing that you enjoyed? Because maybe you just need more of that right now. What was the last thing that you felt really good about? what was that? And oftentimes, when we are in these seasons where we're not loving life and it's a lot of stuff that we can't control and it's just hard all the time, it sort of shifts our perspective. And we almost start looking for more of the hard, or we kind of make these generalizations about our life to say, hey, this is just hard right now and none of this is in my control and this is just the way it is. Have you ever said those things? Have you had that kind of attitude? It rolls so effortlessly off my tongue because I sure have felt that way and said those things inside myself. But that doesn't have to be the reality. There is a way to still find good, even in the midst of difficult situations that we can't control. And I think it really comes from this place of looking for the good, of looking for the good in you, and of saying to yourself, when was the last time that I felt good about myself? Something that I have direct control over. When was the last time that I felt that place of joy? What was I doing? And am I still doing that stuff now? Because I think a lot of times we lay those things to the side. We get in a season of intensity or pressure or busyness, whatever. And a lot of times some of the first things to go are the things that make us feel really good about ourselves. So, what was that thing that made you feel really good about yourself? Maybe it was being consistent with your workouts. Maybe for you it wasn't so much about the scale, but you loved how you felt when you could add heavier weights. Maybe for you it was that marker of I'm getting stronger, I see how this is working, or my clothes are fitting better, or whatever. Maybe it was writing. Maybe you love journaling, or you want to tell a story. You want to tell your story. And so you have this desire to write a book. Maybe it was the writing process. Maybe for you, it was just carving out the consistency of the space to reinforce your relationship with God, of getting to know Him better, of just being on an adventure with Him. Maybe it was something else. What was that thing that made you feel good about you? And I want you to start to think about how you can incorporate more of that back in your life. And I get it. We're going to, if our perspective is a bit negative, if we are kind of reinforcing all that stuff about, hey, this is just how it is and I can't control any of these things, your brain's going to want to say that. So when you're thinking about what it was that you used to do that you really loved, and you're reminding of yourself of that, and then you're thinking about my question, okay, how can you incorporate more of that in your life? Your brain's going to want to go to the negative, and it's going to say you don't have time for that. And of course she wants you to do that now, but you get to choose. You get to choose if you listen to that side or if you embrace this place of possibility. I'm not saying you have to be over the top positive, but I'm asking you to embrace a place of possibility, to say, what if I would incorporate that again? What if I gave myself just 5 minutes to journal? What if I got back into the routine of getting up early just to spend time with God? Whatever that thing was that made you feel really good, that you were in control over, why not do that now? Why not allow that to be the thing that breathes a little bit of positive life back into you? Because you can control some piece of your life. And if you're in this place of saying, okay, I have this thing, I think I might want to do it, I want you to also think about why that mattered to you then. When you were in that season of doing that thing and being pretty consistent with it, why did it matter to you? And you might need to ask yourself that question a couple times to really get to the heart of it. Because I find that often when we ask ourselves those why questions, why does this matter to me? The first couple layers are pretty surface level. It's not really something that matters, it's not the deep that's super meaningful. We want to get to that place of meaning because you want to remind yourself of why it's meaningful now, of the kind of meaning that you got out of that activity years ago or seasons ago or whatever it was, and why you need that meaning in your life right now. And, I also want to say that if you're asking yourself those questions and you find that that place was really kind of reinforced by somebody else's perspective of you, maybe you're saying, well, I did that thing because somebody else thought I should, or I felt like they didn't think I was enough. So I was trying to change this thing about me or whatever. If it's not coming from a positive place, then I want to ask you to think about why that mattered to you. If it's coming from the place of pressure or again, some kind of negative, why? Why did you allow that? Why were those thoughts or feelings there? Because you don't want to go back into some kind of activity or thing that you thought you got meaning out of just to reinforce this thing that wasn't good about maybe something that you felt like somebody else thought about you. How many times we get so stuck on what we think somebody else is thinking about us that's probably nothing close to the truth? So I want you to find that activity, find the thing that you can control, that thing that makes you feel good. Make sure it's something that actually reinforces that bit of goodness that is a desire that you have. It's something that you really want for yourself. It's not about anybody else. Because if you're thinking about something and you journey back through those questions and you realize that it really came out of something that has to do with somebody else that didn't make you feel good, pick something else. We want to create this space where you have the opportunity to love this piece of your life. And if you're tracking along with me and you're saying, "Yeah, I get all these things, but I still need more help than that," then I want to encourage you to pop over to my website, check out my coaching packages. Maybe this would be the perfect season for me to walk with you. I would love to help you create your comeback year. I've had so many really life giving conversations with my clients these past few weeks, being able to uncover some of the roots of this is why I'm doing this to myself, or this is the place that has held me back in the past. And I want something different than that this year. If that really resonates with you, you can book a free session with me just to talk about it, to see if I'm a good fit, see how we would work together. Because I know the change that I've seen in my own life. I know how it feels to walk through these hard seasons, and I want you to know that you don't have to do it alone. I hope that this episode has been meaningful for you. If you have a friend that you're thinking, you know what, he or she need this episode, send it their way, and then come on back next week. We're going to continue talking about how we heal, how we build these lives that we love, and some of our thought processes that go into that.